From the Kaiser Permanente studios, John forgot to turn on his monitor for all the scores. John, here you there. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. SDH AM for another Tuesday. Hour number one, we're going to catch up on the weekend and catch up on yesterday. So basically, think of it as 3 days worth of news in an hour. And we're going to catch up on Atlanta United 2. We got MLS Next Pro and all of that chaos to get into. You'll hear from Jose Silva. You'll hear the highlights with Maddie and Jason from the weekend, Saturday. All my days are running together. So you'll get a catch-up of that. MLS Next Pro playoff picture, which is pretty much a standard amount of chaos. We'll get into that. Happy birthday, Paulo Diaz. And we may play a play of Paulo's to celebrate his birthday. And there's a lot of newsy things to get into in hour number one. Hour number two, we catch up with Kacey White, and find out about her 2 matches and what she thinks about teams like, I don't know, DC. Seriously. New England, a little bit more serious. Then we'll find out what she thinks about Houston, considering that they've played for what? The 98th, that they've played in front of her and Christian Miles for the 98th time this year. 98 times they've watched them this season. Streak was broken, by the way, and St. Louis got the Duke. So we'll find out what happened, what St. Louis did that no one else has really been able to do a whole lot of recently against Houston. And we'll catch up with KCD about a little college as well. So that's it, starting hour number two. Hour number two, after that, 10:30, catch up with Will Palaszczuk, the play-by-play voice for Charlotte FC. Get in our Oppo research early and get you ready for Atlanta and Charlotte coming up on Saturday down at the Benz. And then after that, gossip, rumor, and innuendo, all the things that you might need to pay attention to when it comes to your day, whether it's team signings, press conferences, what to watch, all the things. That'll be in hour number two. So hour number one, we get to play catch-up, considering we spent a lot of time yesterday on Atlanta United. And it'll be Major League Soccer, Next Pro, news, all the things. Hour number two, KCD, Will Palaszczuk, gossip, rumor, and innuendo, news and notes, and get you ready for the day as we'll rock and roll here on a Tuesday. So once again, thanks to, okay, wow, out of the blocks. Someone to block out of the right out of the blocks. Nothing like an early activity on Tuesday morning. Lokeville. Yeah, I know and I've got to figure out, and Lokeville is spot on, that there's a bit of a Hertz hum. And Jason has come up with an idea where he has put something, and it has to do with my audio board. And the idea is that there is something that you can put under the audio board that will knock out the Hertz hum. It has to do with proximity and all this kind of stuff. And this is really the first time that it's been annoying to the point to where you guys are picking it up. So I've got to ask Jason what it was that he has put under his audio board to buffer all of the crap. So that's what I've got to figure out. So, so I've got to ask Jason what he's done to buffer his audio board, because it's in my ears, trust me, and I didn't know how it was going to translate over and try and figure out what it's going to be like. So, yay! We've got an audio board that's being moody. All right, so that's the early rundown, and that's where we are. By the way, once again, from the Kaiser Permanente studios, opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Starting your day with the most important stories in the game right away to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil, Guatemala, heavy bodied, notes of walnut, semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff powered by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. And for that, we go to the colleges. And this isn't quite red clay. It's red clay adjacent. And last night, as a part of what goes on in the college game, there were matches to be played. And I'm going to set this up for you. It was in the Bluegrass, the Bell Soccer Complex, and it was Louisville and it was UK. And so Kentucky scores in the 18th and the 31st. So they're up 2-0 at the break. Then, second half, Louisville gets 16 shots compared to 4 for UK. So UL and UK. Andres Escudero Martin scores in the 56th, converts a PK to get it to 2-1. Then Giacomo Ziza scores in the 83rd, gets his third to make it 2-2. And then practically at the death, as the kids say, this happened, courtesy of our friends at U of L and ESPN+.
And the man to do it would be Quintos, but they had to go too quick. They get one in, it's Quintos! Is it in? It is! Ziza! Unreal!
And sometimes that's all you need to say. 8 seconds to go. Ziza gets his second. Louisville comes back to beat UK by the score of 3-2. Battle of the Bluegrass goes to U of L. 22-14 advantage in shots, 10 on frame compared to 4 for Kentucky. Nathaniel Abraham, 2 saves. Oh, yeah, we got him reported, Abby. Out the door. 2 saves and goal for Louisville, second win of the year. Ziza led the Cards with 5 shots, 4 on target, 2 goals. Escudero Martin, 2 shots and a goal. Braden Sellers, 4 shots. Quintos and Nicholas Parham each added 2. Next up for the Cards, 3-game homestand Thursday, Lipscomb, 6 p.m. at the Dr. Mark and Cindy Lynn Stadium, broadcast on ACC and X. But, yeah, Giacomo Ziza scores in the 83rd and in the 90th, literally 8 seconds to go in regulation. And it was a 3-2 come from behind win for U of L in the Battle of the Bluegrass last night. So that's the fun part of all of this stuff. It's that you never know where you're going to find all of these really cool moments, and we end up with the moments that are there. Full-blown Battle of the Bluegrass last night. Big lead, not a lead. Then you get your game winner with 8 seconds to go. That's opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Starting your day with the most important stories in the game. Right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community. Showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil, Guatemala, heavy body, notes of walnut, semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff, powered by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. All right, a couple of things that we did not get the chance to address yesterday. And one of them has to do with a leadership change here in soccer in the United States. And it comes from, and I'm not gonna joke about the name this morning. USL Super League, Amanda Van de Voort is stepping down as president on Friday. 5-year run, built the thing from scratch. And this was, taking this from an idea to a sanctioned D1 league, 2024 launch, and we see where they are right now. Ever since the league was created, she was the one who was in charge. And the release said that she is departing to pursue other opportunities. What those are, we don't know. So then USL President and CEO Paul McDonough, he says that he's going to stay actively involved with the Super League in the interim alongside Betsy Huff, the league's VP of Strategy and Development. And so you look at the Super League from its beginning, and you look at it now, and you're like, okay, you've gotten something started. You've gotten it to this point. Now what? And you've got to find someone who can take this league to those next steps. Right now, you're in a league, in a league situation that you got a title sponsor for the league in Gainbridge, and right now you have teams that are fairly close together. I mean, travel isn't the worst thing in the world. Carolina, Sporting Jacks, Lexington, and when we had Kaylor Hodges on last week, if you want to just get into the idea of the Gainbridge Super League, I would start by watching last year's championship game in Lexington. It's a fantastic representation and a great ambassadorial moment for the league itself. Carolina, Sporting Jacks, Lexington, DC Power. Right now, Carolina and Sporting Jacks out of the blocks. They've won their first two. And it was a race to get into the playoffs, and it really came down to like the last week when you came to the level of competitiveness that the league currently has. So Carolina and Lexington went past 30, and it was they went past 90, played another 30, and it was fantastic soccer. It was a great advertisement for the Super League and what it can be. Carolina, Sporting Jacks, Lexington, DC Power, Tampa Bay, Dallas, Fort Lauderdale, Brooklyn. That's where you are currently. And if you look at, once again, you look at the travel, you look at where these teams are stationed, travel in and of itself is fairly simple, with the exception of going to Brooklyn. But since it is in a hub city, it's okay. You can find flights to get in and get out and then go to Brooklyn, and you can, you can navigate it fairly easily. Then you have to wonder about the future. And I think that it is obviously when you lose the head of the head of your league, who has been there from the beginning, it is one of those moments where you have to find someone who can grab that mantle and run with it and take the league to its next step. Amanda Vandervoort has taken it to here, wherever here is in your own mindset. Okay, so she's taken it to here. Who can be that next person to sit there and go from here to there? Once again, wherever here is in your mind to wherever there is and where you want it to be. Now remember, coming into this season, and we tried to cover it as best we could, but it was kind of a black hole for information, and it still is, frankly. You had 9 franchises. You had one in Spokane, and the Spokane franchise did not last. And it was disappointing that the owners of the Velocity and the Zephyr decided to fold the Zephyr. And apparently the decision, if I remember correctly, had been made late in the year. And there are published reports from the Spokesman Review up in Spokane about how things were handled and how players felt somewhat aggrieved by the ownership group. And it was an adventure to have the Spokane Zephyr. And if you think about it, even from a geographic standpoint, Spokane was completely and totally detached from the other 8 teams that are currently there now. And it makes it tough, obviously, to function if you are the one that is way the heck out and, all the way over to one side. Literally, you were the only team you were the most Western team in the league. You had Dallas, which once again you can get into and get out of, much like you can Brooklyn. But Spokane was out on a ledge. And you imagine it was the hardest for them, and it's not too hard to imagine that, but hardest for them to function and be a part of the reindeer games because they were so far detached from everybody else. So understandable that they would have financial issues and they would dissolve. So you have 8 teams right now, and you are trying to figure out your next strides. What do you do? And where do you go from here? Right now, there are as many as 3, 6. There are 10 ideas on the board for future Super League teams. And this is once again after this year and heading into next. There are discussions that New York Cosmos would bring in a Super League club. Ozark United would bring in a Super League club. And then in 28-29, if they can get everything squared away with their stadium idea in Des Moines, it would be the USL Pro Iowa franchise that would be there. So you would be adding 3 to get you to 11. And then there are discussions about as many as 7 others. And it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are attached to current USL League One or championship sides that would be introducing they would be introducing Super League clubs into the current structure of what you've got. So 2 are listed at 27-28, one's listed 28-29, but once again, all this is contingent upon stadium deals. I mean, Buffalo is listed as a future team in the Super League, but their stadium deal has gone sideways more than once. So if we focus on the teams that are allegedly, apparently named, Cosmos, Ozark, and Iowa, you're looking at those in the next couple of years. And the women's club has been mentioned. This goes back to a year and a half ago when it comes to bringing in the Cosmos as a part of this in Paterson, New Jersey. So right now you're at 8. Next couple of years you could be 11, but you've got to get to 12 and get the D1 sanctioning and make sure that stays, and you've got to have the specifications from U.S. Soccer and such. So you're at 11 right now, and you need more teams. You need to just reinforce the stability that you have with the franchises that are online now. But this is an interesting crossroads for the Gamebridge Super League. With Amanda Vandervoort having taken the league to where it is, now you need someone to take it to that next run. Who that individual is, that it will be interesting to see what the vetting process leans itself into and who that next individual is. But it is I'm not going to say a crossroads, but it is an interesting time to pay attention to the Gamebridge Super League because of the announcement yesterday that Amanda Vandervoort is stepping down as Super League president on Friday. And we will obviously, as time continues, we will try and effort the individuals that are in charge at the USL headquarters down in Central Florida, and we will try and catch up with the new individual that will be taking over the reins for Amanda Vandervoort. But it is a time that we need to pay attention, and time for the USL to really vet and make a decision that will grow the league from where it was, or from where it is to where they want it to be, or get it closer to that point. So you had Amanda Vandervoort for 5 years. You get the league online. You're averaging just under 3,000 a game. You've flipped your calendar. And now Vandervoort is leaving. And what do you do? So that's kind of your food for thought for this morning as to, okay, what do we do when it comes to this league that we know has a TV partner, an OTA TV partner in Peacock. But now where do they go from here? So like I said, just something to put across your desk, kind of slide that piece of paper across it just to kind of sit there and have you take a peek at it as we go. But just remember where we are right now with this league. 8 teams, 3 coming in over the next couple of years. And so you got to try and figure out, okay, where do we go from here with it? And we'll see. Speaking of women's soccer, the 27 World Cup final draw headed to an art museum in Rio de Janeiro. That should be some really cool visuals. Friday, December the 11th. Friday, December the 11th, the final draw for the World Cup location, and then so it's going to be held at the Museum of Modern Art in Rio. Guanabara Bay, Sugarloaf Mountain is the backdrop for the ceremony. And once again, they're framing the tournament around football art. The idea that football is artistic impression and expression. So it's going to be there in Rio. Ground wiring for the plug, no doubt. Yeah, because if this is annoying, then that's a pain in the butt. But I will definitely keep an eye out on that. So the ground wiring, I can figure out. So yeah, I'll do that. So the ground wiring, I'll keep an eye on that. Thank you, local. You're looking at 1,000 guests expected. 1,000 guests expected. 32 teams, 64 matches, 8 host cities. Most attended women's World Cup yet. 800,000 people have already registered interest in tickets. 95,000 have interest in volunteering. South America gets the World Cup for the first time. So we'll keep an eye out on that. But, yes, you now have your date officially for the World Cup draw at the Museum of Modern Art, Friday, December the 11th. So we'll keep an eye out on that, and we'll see what the word is for all of that. Now, getting into everything else that we got here this morning. Obviously, yesterday, big win for Chelsea, 3-2 over Fulham at Craven Cottage in the back and forth. If I had told you at the end of match day 1 that your table in the Premier League would look a certain way, like with Hull on top, you're going, what? Brighton on top, Brighton, Arsenal, Brentford, Everton, Hull, Chelsea, Ipswich, Manchester City, Leeds United. Those are your threes. Those are the 2 teams. Those are the 9 teams that won. And then Liverpool and Newcastle with their draw, then everybody else at minuses. But, yeah, if I told you Brighton would be at the top of the table, having scored 4 goals, Arsenal, Brentford, Everton, Hull, City, that would be your top 5. I know you'd sit there and you go, what? And by the way, join the Fantasy League. Dell has put up a Fantasy League this year. I think he's beating me probably after week number 1. But join the Fantasy League that we have here at SDH AM and beat me as well. So that's another part of this whole thing. League's Cup is tonight. And with that, you get some subplot. You get your subplot with League's Cup starting tonight. Monterey, Team 11, traveling to Bridgeview to take on Chicago Fire at SeatGeek. 8:30, so 8:40 kick. So 8:40 kick tonight at SeatGeek. Chicago Team 18 and Monterey Team 11. Monterey, the home team. The Ugo Kuiper's irony is not escaping me. Leon and Salt Lake at 10:40. This one is at Dick's Sporting Goods Park in Commerce City, Colorado. Team 28 and Team 30. Leon stormed through the group stage. But, yeah, Monterey, are they for real? Is Chicago for real? So you have the possibility of Ugo Kuiper's revenge. Team 11 versus Team 18, Team 28 versus Team 30. And speaking of which, let me get into the juice boxes for you. And we'll lay out the numbers for you tonight when it comes to, we even have qualification, Champions League qualification, people, all afternoon. 12:45, they're in Azerbaijan. And I believe that this is a moment for Pedro Amador. Hapoel Beersheva is traveling to Sabah Baku. They're a dog at a plus 254. Azerbaijan, the Sabah Baku is a minus 110. Bodo Glimt at 3 o'clock, taking on Nijmegen from the Netherlands. At home, north of the Arctic Circle at a minus 222. Lusk and George Bello. At home, favored against Celtic at a minus 106. Celtic is a plus 239. So you've got Primera B, you've got La Liga today, but let's focus on Nations League just to get you North and Central America here. So League's Cup matchups, all 4 are posted. Monterey is a dog, obviously, since they're in Chicago at a plus 175. Draws a plus 125. Leon is a dog at a plus 206, draws a plus 245, and RSL is a plus 112. By the way, right now, Toluca heavily favored against Austin at a minus 192 tomorrow night. Club America heavily favored against Crew at a minus 145. And Crew is a plus 373. Austin FC is a plus 458. So that is the rundown of your juice boxes for today, at least in those matchups. And so we'll find out what the run is. Find out what the run is with all of that. And so just keep an eye on your Sicko's Delights. Keep an eye on your Sicko's Delights, and we'll keep an eye on all of that stuff. And we'll have, obviously, reports and highlights of that tomorrow. And we'll break all of that down for you, and we'll have your pregame sound and all that kind of stuff when teams put it out there into the ether, and we'll keep you posted on all of that stuff too. Okay, so let's get into the twos here for a second, because I want to save the MLS notes for kind of leading into KCD at the top of the hour. And it is an opportunity for us to remind all of you just how chaotic MLS Next Pro is right now when it comes to your highlights of Atlanta United 2 getting ready for the stretch run. Handful of matches left. There's 4 matches to go. Next matchup, as Abby is requesting, at the Erector Set, it is, if I'm not mistaken, a 7 o'clock start down in Fort Lauderdale. It is. Okay, so Friday night, 7 o'clock. So pregame for us will be 6:30 on the network. Jason will have the call. And 7 o'clock, Inter Miami, CF at 2, Messi and Friends 2, hosting Atlanta United 2, must win for Atlanta United 2. Then after that, on the 8th, the day after Labor Day, final home match of the year, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground, and it is a 2 o'clock start that Tuesday afternoon. So final home match of the regular season, 2 o'clock the day after Labor Day. But 7 o'clock kick at the Erector Set in Fort Lauderdale, if they call it Inter Miami CF Stadium. So, okay, fine. So in Fort Lauderdale, 7 o'clock Friday night, and it is an opportunity for the Twos to stay in the hunt above the playoff line. For those of you that missed it, it was a busy day as Atlanta United 2 took on Orlando City B. We got your highlights for you right here, once again, courtesy of us. Maddie and Jason on the call.
Cleared out, but it falls back to Dunbar now, out to the right. Finds Henry. Henry at the top of the 18. Henry inside. It's knocked out. Back to Jardines. Quick play to Pita. Back out to Jardines in the 18. Jardines for the Twos, out to Dunbar. Dunbar slots it! Jardines with the cutback back down to Dunbar, right in the middle of the 18, right at the spot with the right foot. Slots it home. Finds the opener for Atlanta United 2 in stoppage time. Jardines under pressure. Handles it really well. Jardines in the middle of the pitch. Leaves it for Dunbar. Dunbar, long-range shot from outside. Punched away and into the back of the net. Cameron Dunbar with the brace on the night rips this shot right into the back of the net. 2-1 Atlanta United 2.
The whole sequence starts with Andrew Jardines. He's able to split defenders on the ball. Overran it just a little bit, but he recovers and then pokes a pass through with the outside of his foot to Dunbar, who had tucked inside. And Dunbar, no hesitation to let fly from about 25 yards low into the side netting. No chance for Himes to get to it. 2-1 Atlanta. And now I'll say it again. Keep going. Do not sit back. Do not let Orlando think they can get back into this. Keep going.
One back by Orlando, stabbing in the way. Rivera's coming and just being a wrecking ball. Suarez Corey, quick 1-2 between both of them. Almost tried to commit the foul. Suarez Corey said, doesn't matter. Suarez Corey wide out to the right, finds Rivera's, sends in the cross, finds Kovac. Kovac tries to slot it into the back of the net. 3 academy players developed into that play. It's Suarez Corey and Rivera's working together. Suarez Corey takes it up, connects to Rivera's onto the right. He sends in the cross. It falls right to the feet of Arif Kovac, who slots it home. MLS's Next Pro's leading goal scorer of the season. He makes it 3-1 for Atlanta United 2.
17th goal of the year for Arif Kovac, and the first assist at the professional level for Gonzalo Rivera's. This was MLS. Suarez Corey would get a secondary assist as well. But it's a moment where we'll go all the way back. Let's rewind to a wayward pass from Dominic Chonqui, trying to play it all the way across in the middle third. Orlando had a chance to break. Instead of hanging your head, instead of throwing your arms up, instead of getting frustrated, everybody just put their head down and hustled. And they got back and defended, and then they win the ball on the right. It took a minute. Chica was involved. Suarez Corey was involved. Rivera's was involved. But eventually you win it, and you break, and you score, and now you're up by 2.
Suarez Corey sends it through, looking for Weah. Great work. That ball rebounds, falls back to the feet of Weah with the left foot, into the back of the net. The twos. 4 goals against Orlando City B.
The first pass from Suarez Corey didn't come off, but he helps win the ball back, and it ends up with Weah, who buries it. First goal of the season for Patrick Weah.
Able to be won back. Dunbar cuts it down to Kovac. Kovac! Brace for Dunbar. Arif Kovac says, hey, I want one too. MLS's next pro's leading goal scorer adds another one to his resume.
Dunbar adds another assist, so he's in double digits on the assists. Kovac with goal number 18. Dunbar with assist number 10. And it has completely went off the rails here in Marietta.
And it did. 5-1 your final. And it was an opportunity for Atlanta United 2 to make sure that they stayed in their spot. And they did exactly that. Just that one home match, Abby. The Connecticut United match Tuesday after Labor Day, day after Labor Day, is the last regular season home match. After that, it is a match in Chattanooga on the 13th, and then they finish the season decision day in Kissimmee, Florida at Osceola Heritage Park, taking on Orlando City B. So you take care of business in your next 2, then you try and avenge what happened last time in Chattanooga. Then you go down to take on Orlando City B on decision day on the 20th of September. So 4 matches to go. And here was Jose Silva after the match, breaking down everything that he saw in the at least I knew that, you sit there and somebody sits there and says, no, it's not going to load everything. Well, of course it didn't load everything the way that I wanted it to be loaded. So you sit there and it's like, yeah, I thought I loaded everything. No, you didn't. So here's a chance for Jose Silva to talk about everything that happened in the match where you took care of business against Orlando City B. Here's Atlanta United 2 head coach Jose Silva.
All positive now, because for 4 or 5 minutes we thought that we were the best team in the field. We imposed our identity. Shootout, maybe we don't create as many chances in the second half because they were probably with more energy, and the 4-4-2 that they do is really solid. But it was all positive, and it was, guys, we need to learn the lesson from previous game where we arrived to good moments and we lost the momentum for a situation like that, a goal before halftime and this kind of thing. So we try to keep everything positive, continue doing the same, like fixing a couple things here and there, and go for the end.
And you had to get creative at times. We were talking about it. We talked about this on the first team right now too. The club is down a lot of central midfielders. So you're down central midfielders because they're up with the first team, like Adrian, who's been so important this season, and Aiden now out on loan. Josh Swan gets his debut, but also you had to go away from the 3-4-1 to a 4-3-3 because of what you had to work with. How are you figuring all of that out in the moment, and how did you feel like the guys put that information on?
I think it's probably the most exciting part of the second team because it's just like the connection between 2 worlds, the academy and the first team, and we are really happy that Adrian now is our first objective. That is try to develop players for the first team, so to help the first team to win games, not just to be there. And we feel that kind of like graduate now. So now is the moment for other guys to show, and we try always. I mean, I think that soccer is for the players. We are here to help them, so we need to adapt a little bit the structure to the players that we have and the profile that they have. And the best way right now to get the best from all the players that we have is in that structure. I think the players understand, like Josh Juan, Andrew Jardines, Iggy also stepping the role, Santipita now is coming back from the national team. Didi Cibrian that now look like the Cibrian from last year are stepping. And for us it's really important that all these guys create competition between them, and they show it today. It's going to be difficult to pick the lineup for next against Miami. Try to help them so they continue in this one.
Abby was looking for tickets, and there is no ticket click right now on the Inter Miami CF2 website. So it'll be, we'll keep an eye on it if anybody's going to be in South Florida, but right now there is no click notice. There's nothing to click onto. There's no link to get tickets at the Erector set for Friday night. So here's how it is in the Eastern Conference. It is Crown Legacy 7 points clear of the pack after 24 matches. They're in the playoffs. They have clinched a spot, just don't know where yet. Chattanooga FC, and this is group number 1, which kind of blends itself into group number 2, kind of, sort of. But get this. You now have 5 points separating 2 through 9. 5 points separate 2 through 9. 8 teams, 5 points. Oh, the home match day after Labor Day. Let's see. So let me check that real quick. I don't. Hang on. Schedule, matches, twos, go down. Yeah, on the website, on the twos website, there's a link to go to Ticketmaster. So, yeah, there's a Ticketmaster link for the Connecticut United match. So it does exist. So it is there on the schedule. So go to the Atlanta United 2 schedule, and then you can click on the tickets thing, and it takes you to Ticketmaster. So they exist for the home game. And they also exist for the game up at Fort Finley on the 13th. So go to the 2 schedule on the website and hit the link, and it'll take you to Ticketmaster for the match against the Coy Wolves. Literally, it's just a wolf that's indigenous to that particular part of the planet. So, 8 teams, 5 points right now in MLS Next Pro. So you have no margin for error. You have a good week. If you take care of business in Fort Lauderdale, in theory, you would be close to 3rd. But then, obviously, after that, you've got Connecticut United. Chattanooga FC right now is in 2nd at 44. Connecticut United has really caught fire once they finally got their rhythm. They're in 3rd right now at 43 points. Revs and Columbus Crew have the same number of wins. Crew have 1 less match played. Goals scored. The goal difference goes to the Revs right now, but I think it's head-to-head. So right now, Revs have played 24 matches, 42 points, 11 wins, better on goal difference. Crew have 1 less match played, 11 wins. They've scored more goals, but I think head-to-head would be your lead tiebreaker. So the Revs are in 4th. The Crew are in 5th. Red Bulls are in 6th at 41. Atlanta's 7th at 40. NYCFC 2 is at 39 in 8th. 1 more win than Chicago Fire, who are at 10 wins and 39 points in 9th. Huntsville City Football Club is in the chase group with Orlando City B. 1 more win than OCB. They're in 10th. OCB's in 11th. Union 2 are at 33 points in 12th. Young Reds, TFC 2 are at 30 points. They are in 13th. Core eliminated at 26 points after 24 matches. They did announce Jake Davis as their new full-time head coach. They took off the interim tag, and Jake Davis got engaged. I don't know if one led to the other, but nevertheless, Jake Davis, who is now engaged to be married, is now the full-time head coach for Carolina Core. FC Cincinnati 2, 19 points in 24 matches, 5-17, 2-2. They're eliminated. They've given up 54 goals this year. And Inter Miami CF2, 2-17, 4-1. They've scored 21 goals in 23 matches. They've given up 56. They're 2-6-2 at home, 0-11-2 on the road. 11 points, and they've obviously been eliminated from playoff contention in the Eastern Conference. So that is where things stand for Atlanta United 2 right now. That's where it stands. Basically, you got to keep winning. You take care of business against Inter Miami CF2, you'd be at 43 points. You'd be in the neighborhood of third because that's where it is right now. Like I said, all things being equal, nobody else plays. You win, you're at 43 points, and you are in fourth because, well, actually, no, you'd have 13 wins, and you'd have a better goal difference. So you'd be in third. Then you have the matchup with Connecticut United day after Labor Day. Then you go to Chattanooga the following weekend. Then you go to Orlando City B on decision day. That's the rest of the schedule for Atlanta United 2. So the Twos setting all kinds of records for the franchise, 12-8-4, wins in a season. You've got the Golden Boot leader in Arif Kovac, Cameron Dunbar double-digit assists. And right now you are in the chase for the postseason, but you cannot stumble. You cannot stumble. You put 5 on the board against Orlando City B, and you are where that is right now. And keep an eye on that once again. Friday, 7 o'clock, Erector Set, Fort Lauderdale, pregame here in the network at 6:30. So we'll let you know about that as that continues to grow and evolve. As then keep you posted on all those things, all the things, as the kids say. Western Conference, not quite as chaotic as the East. Austin FC 2, Los Verdos, they're in at 56 points, don't know where. Timbers 2 at 50, they're in, don't know where. Dynamo Dos, 48 points, don't know where. They're in. Ventura County's at 42, LAFC's at 41. St. Louis City 2's at 39, Tacoma Defiance 36, and then the race for 8th. 3 teams, 1 spot. San Jose, 33 points, 8 wins. 1 more win than North Texas, 31 points. Loons 2 there in 10th place. Real Monarchs at 26. Sporting Kansas City 2, they played 24 matches, 20 points. They're eliminated. Whitecaps 2 on the verge of same because they've only played 23, and that's why they're not eliminated yet. They're at 13th in 19 points. Colorado Rapids 2, 3-14, 7-2. 24 matches played, 18 points. They are eliminated. So you've got 5 teams eliminated from postseason contention of the 30 that are on the board in MLS Next Pro. So obviously we'll keep an eye on all that, but keep winning, no real pressure, right? 2 through 9 in the Eastern Conference and MLS Next Pro separated by 5 points. 5 points separating 8 teams right now in the home stretch. Your Crown Legacy's looking at all of them and sitting there going, yeah, y'all have fun. But remember, it's pick your partner in the opening round of the playoffs. So Crown Legacy's sitting there, and they're looking at 6, 7, and 8 and sitting there going, who do I want to mess with? And then the team below gets to pick a partner, and the team below gets to pick a partner, and the 4 gets whoever's left. So pick your dance partner in the playoffs for MLS Next Pro. But Atlanta United 2, bottom line, they're in the hunt. They got to keep winning. They cannot stumble between now and the end of the season. Once again, no real pressure. So that's where we are with the Twos. Kacey White set to join us at the top of the hour to let you know what else is going on in her world. Will Palaszczuk joining us at 10:30 for your breakdown early on of Charlotte and opposition research as we get ready for the weekend and Saturday night when it comes to MLS and chasing after things. Where Atlanta United is 3 points out of the play-in game right now in the Eastern Conference. Shows you how competitive it is in the Eastern Conference and where it's 2 groups. But you get hot, you get things settled, and you got a chance to try and do something here in the run-in in MLS in Major League Soccer in 2026. But KCD is going to join us top of the hour. We're going to look at DC and New England. We're going to look at, and specifically, we're going to look at what's wrong with DC. And then we'll look at what's right with New England. And she and Christian Miles also called St. Louis and Houston. Like I said, they've called, I think, 98 Houston Dynamo matches this year so far. 98 of them. And so that's what you end up with. We'll talk about that. We'll also get into the college game with KCD. She's called a couple of UNC matches, called UNC in Arkansas. And we'll get her early thoughts on the ACC as we go. But in Major League Soccer for the weekend past, you got the results that came through, and there are some concerns in some places. Charlotte and DC, obviously, we'll talk about it. 3-1, once again, Charlotte over DC. We catch up with Willie P. You'll hear that at 10:30. Cincinnati and Seattle, a 1-1 draw at TQL. And in that matchup, Evander scored in the 24th, and Kalani Kosarienzi scored with 7 minutes to go. So Seattle leaves with a point. Seattle is supposed to have a press conference later today. We don't know what it's about. We'll certainly find out and see what the import is. But, yes, Seattle has scheduled a press conference for later today. Toronto over Miami by the final of 2-1 at New Stadium. Josh Sargent scores in the 59th. Derek Etienne Jr. scores in the 62nd. This was a crazy weekend for former Atlanta United players. Miguel Berry went off last night in USL Championship. Derek Etienne Jr. scores to give Toronto a 2-0 lead on the road. Messi scored in the 82nd, basically said, I'll try and take care of this myself. He almost did. But now with a 2-1 loss, 5 matches winless for Inter Miami. Michelle Kaufman, the Miami Herald, is saying is asking if the buzzards are circling around Guillermo Hoyos, the interim coach. And that is that's the $90 bazillion question right now. Is there going to be a change? 5-game winless run for Inter Miami, Guillermo Hoyos. Everyone is kind of staring over the top and wondering what's going on. So is there going to be a change? 5 games winless. Now everybody's kind of looking at Guillermo Hoyos. So it's a 2-1 loss by them at home to Toronto. And you wonder what the future may hold. Future traditionally just holds them getting more players, but we'll see. Montreal and LA Galaxy, a 2-2 draw at Stade Saputo. And once again, yesterday, if you missed it, we went over the JT Marcinkowski red card with about 20 to go. Ramos on the 20th, even of Daniel Rios. So Daniel Rios scores in the 16th minute to give Montreal a 1-0 lead. Ramos scores 4 minutes later. That was the score at the break. Maya Yoshida scored in the 48th. Red card to Marcinkowski, and then Prince Owusu gets your equalizer with 11 minutes to go. So LAG got a point on the road, had to fight with 10. Red Bulls in Chicago Fire, a 1-1 draw. Haile Selassie scored in the 38th to make it 1-0. And then Harper scores with 4 minutes to go for your equalizer, 1-1, your final there. Purple team over RSL, 2-1. And this was a rotated side. Boy, was this a rotated RSL side. Griezmann gets a brace, gets on the team of the match day because of it. And Marchuk scores in the 36th to actually give RSL a lead, but Griezmann gets the brace. 2-1 your final. Just to give you an idea, RSL was preparing for Leagues Cup. The lineup was Mason Stidehar in net. So everybody in Orlando knew about Mason Stidehar. Back 5, Katramani, Junqua, Juan Jose Arias, Kobe Henry, and Dominic Marchuk. It was a 5-4-1 basically. Midfield attack, Hezzer Khani, Luka Moisa, Pablo Ruiz, and Lineker. And then Victor Olatunji up top. I mean, Victor Olatunji is not chopped liver by any stretch of the imagination, but this was a rotated side. Mason Stidehar in net in a 5-4-1. Your subs were Luna, Quentin, Caliscan, Sanabria, Saba, Colin Gusky, which was a great pickup by them from Orlando, by the way. Rafa Cabral, Lucas Engel, and Gila Vogi. So you see what the starts were, and you see what the lineup was and who sat on the bench. This was a Leagues Cup preparation, get your rest roster change. I think it was 10 dudes that were rotated out by Pablo Mastroeni. They were preparing for Leagues Cup. Had a 1-0 lead, lost it 2-1. But anyway, like I said, they were looking for the middle of the week. They were not looking at the weekend at all. It's like, yep, we're tossing that one. We'll find out what happens. If we hang out, cool. If we don't, then no sleep. No sleep lost. Nashville is kind of turning into that team. We've seen it in other places where it's almost like an eventuality that something is going to happen late. Hani Mukhtar gets a goal in the 27th. Farsi and Gomez scored in the second half for a 2-1 lead. Reed Baker Whiting scores at 90+3. And then the video is out, and it's kind of cool that they actually caught this moment where B.J. Callahan is yelling at Andy Nahar, give me all you got for 2 minutes. Like, just give me all you got. And so, of course, Nahar scores at 90+5. The eventuality happens. Nashville goes on to win at 3-2. It's a really cool video. It's out there on social pretty much. St. Louis and Houston, we'll go over that one. St. Louis got the Duke 2-1. Austin and Philly was a 1-1 draw at Q2. Brendan Hines-Ike evened up after Kevin Sullivan scored in the 18th. So 2 goals, 3 minutes apart, first half, then nothing. So a 1-1 draw at Q2 for Austin as Davey Arnaud continues to get points, just not 3, as he's standing on the touchline as the interim. Vancouver, and this was the one that really, I think, shocked a lot of folks. Vancouver pretty much told Dallas to go to the backyard, find the stick of their choosing, and then Vancouver said, okay, fine, are you ready? Vancouver, grabbed that stick that was chosen and took full advantage. Emmanuel Sabi scores in the 11th minute. Brian White gets a brace. Ocampo scores at 45+6, 4-0 at the break. Caicedo scores in the 68th minute, 5-0 your final, and it wasn't even that close. Was not even that close. 62-38 possession, shot 17-7, 10-1 on target. Total passes almost doubling, 670 total passes for Vancouver, passing at 88%. 12 corners, 9 to Vancouver. Aerial duels, 17 of 24 won by FCD. Expected goals, 2.2 to 0.9. 5 saves for Dallas. It could have been worse. 21 fouls, 12 called on Vancouver. 5 yellow cards. 5 yellow cards called on Dallas. Shaq Moore, Ron Benjamin, Lalas Abubakar, Josh Torquato, and I'm missing one. So they said 5. I'm guessing the bench was the 5th one. But, yeah, 4 player yellow cards and a 5-0 thrashing, whatever you want to call it. I was going to say drubbing and thrashing, and came out thrubbing. So Vancouver wins at 5-0, and it was not that close. And that was probably one of the shock results of the weekend, if not the Toronto Inter-Miami result. Then you've got LAFC and Portland, 1-1 draw there. And this one was definitely up there in the shocker category. David DaCosta scores in the 4th minute. They hold on until the 79th. Marty Cifuentes administration begins 1-1 draw. Janssen gets a red at 90+3, not available this weekend. San Diego FC at the Murph Dragon shuts out Colorado 3-0. They needed this one in the worst way. Valacati, Achuri, and Pirani scored 3-0 over Colorado. And then Minnesota over San Jose 5-1. This was the other shocker of the weekend. And not just because there was a baby that stormed out onto the field, a young'un. Timo Werner actually gave San Jose a lead from the spot in the 4th minute. Pereira Boa gets a brace within 4 minutes, 3-1 at the break. Caldera and Gonzalez score in the second half, 5-1 Minnesota. Baby on board. San Jose needed all the help they can get, but I don't know, maybe fresh legs could have helped out. We'll ask Kacey D if she's ever had a moment like that. The New England and New York City 1-1 draw. And Atlanta over Kansas City. We talked about that one in depth yesterday. 2-1 for Atlanta United, winning 3 2-1 games in a row. So like I said, that just means to me that they've won the first set 6-3. That's all that's happened. All right, it is the top of the hour. I'm going to go ahead and cheat it because we got to have a hydration break. We have to have our hydration breaks here. So brought to us by our friends at local Vine Beer, Wine, and Liquor stores. Please hydrate away. Johns Creek and Cumberland. And we like to thank them for being great partners and friends with us here in 2026, for hanging out. And local Vine Beer, Wine, and Liquor stores. You will go in. You will think that you have a short list. You will leave with a rather filled cart. Thanks again, once again, local Vine Beer, Wine, and Liquor stores. Let's bring in Kacey D and find out where her. Are you properly hydrated?
Coffee count? Yes, I am.
Absolutely.
Good morning.
Morning. You've been quite busy.
Oh, not that busy. Come on. What are you talking about?
Well, I will say this: if anyone is not following KCD on the IG, the gram, or the Insta, whatever the kids are calling it these days, you put together some really cool montages about where you are and where your days are, and it's like, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, back, all this kind of stuff. So it kind of opens this window as to really how you're living your life in an airport, seemingly this time of year.
Yes, last week, in all honesty, was the busiest week and most travel I think I've had all year. There might have been one other week early on in the season, but I moved on from that apparently and don't remember. But it was I only did from Monday to this past Sunday. But if you rewind back 2 more days, I was in Denver, Chapel Hill, DC, Fayetteville, Arkansas, St. Louis, back home. So 4 games in 6 days or 3 games in 4 days in 4 different cities. So it depends on how you want to look at it. So it was a big week for sure.
Yep. And there are a couple of, I wanted to look at your MLS games for various reasons. And I did want to talk about the college game a little bit. And in addition to your time in the ACC, I was going to ask about what you thought about what happened at the University of Georgia with 25,000 plus, looking at UGA and James Madison. So I guess that's kind of the rundown this morning. Do you want to start college or do you want to start pro?
Let's start college.
Okay. So you've spent time in the ACC. There's this team that you've been stuck covering early on with all of the TV games and the mug matches, what's been going on. Fairfield in Arkansas, is that right?
You are right, yes.
So early takeaways from what you've seen on the Stags and the Razorbacks. Kidding. Let's go to the flip side. UNC, what have you seen so far?
Well, I'll give a little shout out to the opposing teams. That's so funny you say that because Colby Hale, who's the head coach of Arkansas, I walk into the booth and he has this sitting and waiting for me with a scarf. And he did for Jen Hildreth as well. I took a little video and I was like, no. So I'm not going to put it on, but I'm going to hold it up. In all seriousness, I told him, we were joking before the game. I'm like, I am a professional. I've already done Duke, UNC. So Duke, Carolina, Arkansas, I can do. But the Razorbacks are struggling early on. They still cause problems because of the way they press and they try to press against, but they're just having issues scoring goals. And UNC is just incredibly hard to come up against. They did actually experience a loss yesterday against number 5 Michigan State. What I've seen from Carolina is how flexible their system is, which anyone who watches UNC knows Damon Nahas, and he wants players that can play out of position, that can fill different spaces, that have freedom. And this is the fastest I've seen that style of play start for him in his 3 years. And they're very, very good on the attacking side. So I think they're going to be a really fun team to watch as they go throughout the year. When they matched up with Fairfield has a winning culture. And, their head coach said this was going to be the hardest test for them, but hopefully to help them go back into conference and continue to roll like they normally do.
25,433 between the hedges, Soccer and Sanford, and Madison Cruz and I were there, and we kind of got to see it firsthand. It had a lot of the college elements attached to it. The Redcoat Band was there, and they were heckling, much like a free throw. They have posted the band in the corner by the corner flag. So when JMU was kicking corners in that corner in the first half, you have the Redcoat Band just coming down upon you with every note possible. And we got to catch up with our friend, the OG Glenn Davis, and Marion Crowder, another OG. So having 2 of the 3 that we knew. And being in that environment, it was really cool about what soccer is and what it can continue to be. Did you catch any of this? Did you catch highlights? What was your look of this one?
I was on the air pretty much at the same time for the UNC Arkansas game, so I did not catch the game, but I've seen so many highlights, so many stories. I've spoken to Jill Lloyden, to Marion Crowder about their experience. From a human level, I was so happy for Marion being an alum of Georgia. I can put myself in those shoes of if that was here at Carolina, how that would have felt to be a part of, to make history, but also to experience that, having played for the program previously, never experiencing anything like that, and then to see what Georgia was able to do. She interviewed Kirby Smart. Like, there were just so many cool things about that event, and the foresight of the university and everyone that put it on to make sure it happened is incredible. And I love seeing that. I think it's the same thing when you're a kid and you see a male or a female role model doing what you want to do. Now you see a crowd of what can be. And so just like the other inspires you, that can inspire all of us too, of like, where can this sport get to? And I think that's the most exciting part about it.
Yep. And like I said, it was a great environment. And the thing, there were a couple of things that are going to stick with me, in addition to just being there for the whole time. Literally, it got to the point to where, and I think that they might have been underestimating the crowd a little bit, because they only had, I think, 2 gates open. And you saw people just up the road. I mean, the lines were forever trying to get into the building. And you love to see those kinds of visuals. It just got to the point to where they were getting close to kickoff. It's just like, yep, come on in.
Everyone get in there. Come on board.
Literally just, it's like, show it to me. I'm not going to scan it. Just come on in. And they had to keep opening up sections. And so you end up with 25,000 plus there at UGA. And I thought that was really cool. Can Keenan fit something like that, or is it too small of a surface?
It could fit that.
Okay.
It could fit that. I do think it would be barely in the regulations of being able to do that from a width perspective, but I'm almost positive, because they did host the international, was it the International Cup or Summer of Soccer a year or 2 ago? Keenan had games in there. So I just think it's a smaller width for sure.
So it's like Yankee Stadium, but yes, it's regulation. It is it's a regulation surface. Wink, wink.
Exactly.
Peter Vermes goes out there. It's a 110 by 68. No, it's not regulation, but no, it's a regulation surface.
Yeah.
Getting into what's your next college game, by the way?
Oh, I'm actually on the sideline for Indiana versus Louisville men on Monday at the University of Louisville. I'm with Joe Malfa and Devin Kerr, and I'll be sidelining my debut. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay,
so Devin comes and hangs out with us too. So feel free to spread lies and rumors and gossip with the two of you on the sidelines for that one. We played the end of Battle of Bluegrass to kick off the show this morning, and so. Obviously, Louisville's going to be riding high after knocking off a rival. But, yeah, you're down 2-0. You come back to win at 3-2 with 8 seconds to go. That's some stuff to really carry you forward. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of trouble you and Devin and Joe are going to get into with this.
I'm going to have to cook up a few things. It's going to be very fun. My favorite part, besides calling the game, of like pregame of when I'm in the booth, is I always go down to the field, because I feel like so removed when I'm in the booth. So to actually be down on the field during the game this time and experience that will be fun. It'll be a little bit different.
Yep, and being sidelined, you get to be that third person in the booth, and just you get to sit there and spread a whole bunch of rumors and sit there and say this is what's going on, and get the coaches all mad at you, because when I'm doing sideline, literally I go to the coaches ahead of time. If they don't know me or if they're uncomfortable with me, it's like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be in your huddle. I'm going to be right on the outside of it. Know that you'll see that I'm not going to be holding the microphone into the huddle. I'm going to have the microphone behind me, so that way you know that what you're saying isn't going out over the air on a parab, and I'll be listening. And so I'll take the IFB out and I'll explain to them, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing all match long, and I might be coming to you at some point. We had conference, so I warn them that I'm going to be intrusive.
Yes.
So that way they don't sit there and look at me and it's like, dude, what are you doing?
That might actually be my biggest challenge. I'm such a permission person. So this is going to take me out of my comfort zone to be like sneaking up in there. So it'll be good for me. I'm looking forward to it.
It's good for intel and being the third person in the booth, those kinds of things. But yeah, making sure that the coach understands that you're going to be there.
Yes.
And not freaking out that why is that person there with a microphone, those kinds of things.
100%.
Okay, the pro game. I have heard that you have covered the pro game here this season, and
a little bit.
I was debating because I was going to start with DC and New England. And I was debating playing all 3 goals back to back to back because there is a commonality of theme in these 3 goals. So do you want me to walk through them one at a time, or do you want me to just go bang, 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 and then we'll talk about them after?
Go bang, bang, bang. That's totally fine by me.
Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to play all 3 goals, and it's amazing what happens when you play all 3 goals in a row and the same person scores. Last time I checked, they call that a hat trick. And so it was 3-0 in the end result here. And you're going to notice something about these 3 goals for New England in their matchup against DC. Once again, courtesy of Apple TV and Major League Soccer. You might recognize one of the voices, the other one, Christian Miles, and his alliteration. A lot of alliteration from anxious anchors placed in powerful posts. Here's goal number 1.
Boundless energy, the Nigerian in the heart of that midfield, locating heel. Harrison. Counter move here, and Harrison puts it on that left. Miller, all the way across, and snapped down. He's done it again. Al-Hassan Yusuf.
They use composure to connect a few passes. Finally, when they get into the attacking final third, it's Jack Harrison's ball that lifts to the back post. That compromises the back line because they have to drop. Then it becomes about player marking, and Al-Hassan Yusuf is given a free license to come through the 18-yard box.
That's goal number 1. So let's go to goal number 2. You'll hear some of the same names here.
Wide play for Sands. As New England look to finish with a flourish, Harrison delivers. Yusuf on the double! He's come back to haunt United for a 3rd consecutive time.
They're working the ball around. There's initial opportunities that go awry, and it's the backside shoulder. The service from Jack Harrison. He finds a spot, not a player. Now it's Yusuf's job to get there. The marking is completely lacking from Kurosaka, but it's because he's compromised because of where the ball is put. It doesn't invite Sean Johnson out, but it also makes defenders think that it's going to go wide. Yusuf makes the most of it.
All right, so you've heard 2 names 3 times each, and we've only done 2 goals. Here's goal number 3.
Heel, supported by Polster. There is blood in the water here at Audi Field. Harrison fires one in. Yusuf! It had to be him! Hat-trick hero! What a night for Al-Hassan Yusuf!
That Yusuf has in the timing off the backside shoulder, it's a great combination. And again, it's Jack Harrison, who other than him, to bend this ball in as Yusuf gets on the backside shoulder. This ball dips down perfectly. It beats the entire back line, and the run comes before the pass. That is why Yusuf is onside.
Okay, so I held up numbers on purpose because in 3 goals scored by Al-Hassan Yusuf, his name was mentioned 5 times. Jack Harrison's name was mentioned 5 times. I'm going to start with this. What in the blue you-know-what is going on with the defense of DC United when you know that Al-Hassan Yusuf is going to jump out of the gym? What were they looking at, or what were they not looking at? DC United looked like they were out to lunch.
The first problem was get pressure to the ball when Jack Harrison has it. You have to have initial defending pressure on any player that can serve anything long. Even if it's not around your goal, that's told to players when you're pressing high up the field. If you're going to press, you have to have the initial pressure on the ball. It becomes even more imperative the closer it gets to the goal. Then you add in, it's Jack Harrison. This is what he's known for. He cuts inside, he uses his left foot, and he puts it on a platter for people. So that's the first problem. The second problem is midfield tracking or player marking, however you want to look at it. The first goal was midfield tracking. Everyone's caught watching as Peyton Miller gets served this ball, and no one thinks about Yusuf just darting through the middle, getting a body on him, and just impeding his run. And then the other 2 were just bad player marking. Good finishes, dangerous balls. If I'm a manager on the sideline, I'm extremely happy with the type of balls that Jack Harrison is putting into the 18. But if the player marking is right, you get a much better chance. And off the backside shoulder, you're supposed to touch the player, get close to them, and not allow them to get through without at least being marked a little bit. It definitely didn't happen, and that's 3 times. I would have been so upset if I was DC United.
Oh, I just have this vision of TST coach Kacey White going into the locker room to talk to the DC United players either at the break or after 90 minutes and sit there and, like turn over a table, take a whiteboard and smash it on the ground. It's just like it was the same. It was this after the first time. It's like, okay, what is it? Do it once, shame on you? Do it once, second time, shame on me?
Something like that.
And so literally it's like, okay, so the first time it happens, Harrison and Al Hassan Yusuf, okay, yeah, we've seen him jump out of the gym already this year. We know what he brings to the table.
Correct.
Then the second time you're like, bruh, did you not see the first time? And then the third time, it's like, what? You're pointing to, like, do you not understand what has happened here previously? And it's at the one of the back post. I was like, you've got to be serious. How can you be? What is up? I mean, honestly, they would be running stairs for months. Or I would come up with an Al Hassan Yusuf mashup tape, literally, and I would play all 3 of those goals for the entire coaching session. Literally, it would be just those 3
Speaking
plays.
of my halftime speech, have you ever seen that panda gif where he just like tosses the table and he like throws things off of it? I need to send it to you if you haven't.
Yeah.
I mean, for that to happen multiple times in one game is a massive problem. And that's definitely something that has to be addressed at that point. And I said it throughout the broadcast, DC wasn't playing bad. They actually, before the first goal, had about a 15-minute stretch where New England did not know how to handle them. They were higher up the field. They were pressing. And this just drives a coach insane when that is going on. And then it happens on the opposite side. 1 time, let alone 2 times, let alone 3 times. So I can imagine there was a focal point in training that week for DC.
Yeah, that, by the way, the panda gif where he smashes the computer keyboard, and that run, that is one of Jason's favorite gifs. Literally,
I love that. So when you were talking about a halftime speech, I'm like, this is what popped into my head.
literally. And so no, that whole big panda destroying equipment, that is Jason's favorite gif sequence. And when he is hot about something, that's what he'll post in our WhatsApp chat. He'll sit there and he'll post the big panda smashing the computer terminals and all that kind of stuff.
My favorite one right now is the Messi, the Jude Bellingham look. That's like my favorite one right now. If anyone says anything funny, I'm like,
okay, yeah. You just like, all right, you want to literally, if you took Messi's face in that and then you put him next to De Niro. Yeah. You get the 2 of them. It's like you get De Niro doing the same thing in like, either Goodfellas or Casino or Heat, just like.
That's true. That's a good point.
So yeah, you don't mess with either one. Basically, you don't do that. Game number 2 that you had, and you and Christian have had the Dynamo 92 times this year.
Is that it?
I mean, it seems that way.
And we have them this next weekend too. I know. We're down the middle of the country, but we've definitely had Houston and then St. Louis probably the most. Those are the 2. Then everyone else has been like 2 or 3 games. So
yeah. I need to make sure that you're getting to all those places in St. Louis that you need to eat.
I know. This week was so busy. I just went straight to my hotel and pretty much went to bed. But I have one more trip there. So
okay. All right. So yeah, so go and sample everything that comes with food in St. Louis, because that is an experience in and of itself. Anyway, got to talk about the game. And what I'll do is I will play the goals. We'll do like we did last time. I'll play all the goals in sequence, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about what happened. So yes, you can properly hydrate and prepare for the St. Louis City discussion against Dynamo. So it starts off in the 23rd minute, and Simon Bescher actually gets on the board first for the home side. Once again, Apple TV and MLS.
Full of energy and full of vigor, the Romanian plays Totland. all the way across now. Volleyball's countryman. First touch escapes. Betcher! Super Simon and City looking so slick. It's 1-0 to St. Louis.
It starts completely from the center back. Baumgartel finding space to Vollum. That allows Matan to get in the outside channel. Now it's a 2v2 in the wide space. The run above the ball by Ostrak, forcing defenders to make decision. What wonderful play through the penalty area. And then Simon Betcher uses a deflection for the finish. But it's the movement of Ostrak as he goes beyond. It causes the nollie to stop for a split second. That's all you need, and Simon Betcher does incredibly well to be agile on the turn and be able to put it right past Jonathan Bond in goal for the lead.
Precision and power and a snapshot finish from Super Simon Betcher. However, one caveat to add.
Yeah, and that caveat would come in the 75th. Ibrahim Aliyu. This one was pretty nasty. Once again, Apple TV, Major League Soccer.
By Bogusz. Dropping his shoulder now. Inali's done brilliantly back across and whipped in. Second ball, and it's out of you, Ibrahim. The Nigerian strikes.
Forefront is really important. It's the direct play because it's allowing a nollie to operate in the wide space. Incredible patience shown. Watch Bogusz. He makes his first run, then 19. He just pulls away. It allows space there for a nollie to take on. Bogusz gets the initial opportunity. Great box organization from the Houston Dynamo. When Bogusz takes the initial shot, Aliou Ibrahim comes more central. The entire play starts with a nollie, but it's that organization of narrowing that allows him to be in the right position at the last minute where defenders cannot react, but he's the one that's able to.
And I'm going to put a bookmark in that because your Instagram account, and I'm going to talk about that when we come back. So we're 1-1. And then someone who folks here in Atlanta know from his time at Aberdeen and his time also in the college game on the Eastern Seaboard, Dante Polvara. I did not have him on the bingo card, but anyway, game winner.
Too slick for his own good. His conceded possession now. Alt, what can he conjure up? Now, Totland looking to further the cause. Puts it on his right foot. Totland squares it in front. Polvara! It might be the winner!
Here, a change of point after the dispossession of Hector Herrera in the midfield. Totland takes on in the 1v1, a block there at front, and this is a moment, and Dante Polvara is up to the task. Shifting everyone, it deflects right to him. Easier said than done. He keeps his head down, puts it with power, and no one on defense is able to react. He reacts, and he is able to put St. Louis City in the lead, 2-1 to the home team.
For those that want to that don't follow you on Insta, I'm serious. The second goal, it was the second goal, right? That you posted and had your full breakdown of what happened there. And I thought, and this is why when I, when you and I have our talks after, when we're off air, and I always say that I think you would be deadly in studio, given a big board and arrows and being able to sit there and, telestrate with your finger and do all these kinds of things and have folks mark out plays. That second goal that you have in your breakdown and you're staring at that monitor, when you go full three-dimensional Vulcan chess on that thing, I thought it was fantastic. And, and it takes, now, is it the same producer and is it the same producer that's paired with you week in and week out?
No, always a different producer. Okay,
because you've got to be in rhythm with that producer who knows, okay, I need to let that replay go long. I need to have that laid fat so you can sit there and break everything down. And the fact that you put up behind the scenes on the goal cam, how you broke down that second goal, that's why I said you will be deadly in studio breaking stuff down like you did on that second goal if they put you indoors. I thought that was off the cards.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's what gets me going, is like being able to analyze in that way when I see a goal that maybe I can bring something a little bit different to the fans, and something that's a little different than watching where the ball is. That gets me excited to be able to do that. Plus, I love the game. I'm a fan of the game. So when I see something that's special or different that might be small, I want to point that out and give credit there. And then credit goes to the producer, like you said. The first goal, I loved it all the way from Baumgartel starting the play, but they didn't show the replay from there. So I asked him to do that later in the game, and we broke it down. So by the time this second goal came around, I think he kind of knew my personality at this point. He'd been listening for 70 plus minutes and realized I wanted to see all of those types of movements. And so he started it from the long service. He showed from behind the goal when Ibrahim narrowed and came inside, which was the defining characteristic of that goal, besides the fact that Bogusz had gone centrally and Ben Olsen made a great change to put two centrally on the forward line, which would be four when they were attacking because of the wide spaces. So it all kind of came together and was a great equalizing goal for them.
Yep. And so then let me ask you, from 30,000 feet, what was it that St. Louis City did against Houston that others have not been able to do a lot recently that got them the Duke 2-1? What did they do differently that others haven't been able to pull off?
Before I answer that, I have to say Guilherme didn't play. And he's the X factor for Houston. And when he's not in the lineup, he's not in boots warming up, took a knock during the week. I expect him to be back this weekend. Houston still played well. They still looked like Houston. They had their defensive structure. They made a few changes with Guilherme not in. Hector Herrera didn't start. Jaje Samaseku started, who played well. Jack McGlenn played well. And they had some really nice early moments in the first half. Berkey came up with two critical saves after the goal, which kept the 1-0 lead. So when you don't have Guilherme, on top of all the other pieces that Houston's doing really well, he's the difference maker. So I will say that first and foremost. Not to take away too much from Yohan Dame. Obviously, he has his team clicking. They are, is it 12 games now, I think? 12 games unbeaten. And what was going really well for them was they reacted to the key moments of the game better than Houston did. They had the majority of possession. When they gave up the equalizing goal, they reestablished that possession. And then in and around the box, they were just better. And that was the difference in this game because there wasn't much separation.
Now you've got San Jose heading to Hell in a Shell to take on the Dynamo this week for your 93rd Houston Dynamo match of the season. And have you ever seen an extra attacker for San Jose in any situation like they had this past weekend? Have you ever seen an extra attacker like that? Have you ever had that kind of a pitch invasion in anything that you've either seen or been a part of?
No. The cutest pitch invasion ever, but thank goodness it was taken care of. But no, I have not seen a baby on the field. I've seen like an animal and things like that before, but a baby, not so much.
Just checking. Just figured I'd ask. As always, have great shows, have great calls, have great production calls and everything in between. And we'll be keeping an eye on you on the sidelines where you get to just kind of just dive into the pile. I want to see you from the outside, just kind of step on the bench and just kind of dive in with the microphone, just kind of sit there and go,
I might need to.
Hey, here's what's going on, guys, back up to you. So so it'll be good for you to pair up with our buddy DK and with Joe Malfa. As always, it's great to see you, my friend. It's always great to break everything down and get your three-dimensional view of everything that you get to see in Major League Soccer and the college game. Just be safe. You're on the road next Tuesday?
I am on the road, Saturday and Monday, basically. And then I'll be back. I'll be flying back next Tuesday.
Okay, so flying back next Tuesday. So let me know Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Let me know if you want to swing later in the week or if you just want to take a break and go run into the grass with Owen for a couple of days. Just let me know and just be safe travels, okay?
Thanks. Have a good one.
There she goes, Kacey D. Where she be? She be busier than you know what. That's how it goes. but it's always fun to catch up with KCD. Okay, it is bottom of the hour now. It's time to go Oppo research and find out what's going on with Charlotte FC. And we do get a piece of history with our time that we get to catch up with Will Palaszczuk, the play-by-play voice of #4TheCrown. Here is our time catching up with Willie P as they get ready for Charlotte to come down. The matchup of self-proclaimed rivals. Just ask David Tepper himself, the owner of Charlotte FC, as they get ready to come down south this weekend on Saturday night. So we caught up with Willie P, and here's where he stands when it comes to getting ready for this matchup. So before we started, you told me that this is a piece of history that we are embarking upon here today?
This is the last broadcast I'm doing from this room because we are in the process of moving. So basically, you can't see off camera, but everything is in boxes and totes. This desk will probably be gone tomorrow.
Wow.
This will be gone tomorrow. This will be in storage. This will be gone. It'll be that is tonight's project to get it all off the walls. So when the movers come, they can take it and put it in the storage because we're building a house about no more than a half mile away from here, but we're putting everything into storage so folks can come and stage it and make it look a heck of a lot nicer than it does, even though it doesn't. It looks nice now. It right now is in need of some, I guess, what the realtors call staging.
Yes. Yeah. So if anybody wanders in and it's like, well, and this is where Will Palaszczuk does his radio hits and and his television material, and
it's gonna get painted because we have it actually painted a very nice color back here, but it's iron ore around the rest of the room. This is kind of what we call an accent wall or whatever, and we had it iron ore. It was meant to give a really nice, almost kind of like the study in Clue was the vibe we wanted.
There you go. Okay. All right. And does this mean that we get to be the first one to go from the new studio space when the house is for the proper bookmarking of the whole thing?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. Just checking.
We all have to pray for Atlanta United to play Charlotte FC early in the season when that's able to go.
We'll boogie on that. Since you had a 4-point week, figured we talk about both matches and kind of work our way forward to what to possibly anticipate coming up this weekend.
7 if you count the previous weekend.
Yes, and so you got 7 points in like 9 days or 8 days or something like that. Something that United can relate to. 9 points in 9 days themselves. So when you look back at this most recent stretch, what has stuck with you about where things are right now?
3 different games, John. When you think about it, you had a Columbus game where Charlotte started out the aggressor early and, they scored 2 goals in 7 minutes. They did give one back, but then got another one in the second half. You had a Toronto game where you felt like you were in the driver's seat and then not only in the driver's seat, but up a man after being in the driver's seat. And then you concede 2 goals late on a couple of switched off moments defensively, which has unfortunately been the emblematic thing of Charlotte FC season. And then a game on Saturday against DC United that you really didn't feel like you were in. Felt like it was a stalemate through 45 minutes, maybe one that you kind of let them in for the better part of 55 minutes. They score, and ever since once they scored, it lit a fire underneath the behind, a shot in the arm, whatever analogy you want to use.
Sure.
And then the rest of the game, they looked like they were gangbusters. They get 2 goals off set pieces, which has just become our calling card now since we hired Charlotte FC's new set piece coach, Carl Hooper from Aston Villa. He gets 2 goals in span of 64th and 66th minute. And then Pep Biel does his thing in the 77th minute. You get 3 goals in 13 minutes. And all of a sudden, what looked like a certain disaster turns into a victory. And maybe, I don't want to say the result flattered Charlotte, but I'll just take it right out of Dean Smith's mouth. They have played better in games they've played better than games than they played this past Saturday and not won. So maybe they felt like they were owed one from those who control that up above, but it is what it is. So I will say that I don't know if there's anything you could call a common thread between all 3 of them, but the thing is they're getting results and they've played very, very well, since the World Cup break. The only times they've dropped points are against Atlanta, in that game against Toronto, and then the 3 against Chicago. And that's the only time that they've dropped points from winning position all season. So while many would look at it and say, oh, this is a trend, they prefer to look at it as an outlier.
Does anything surprise you where Pep Biel is concerned anymore?
I'm surprised when he doesn't do it, put it that way. I'm surprised when he doesn't come through, because it seems like he has become Mr. Reliable, and it's become a talking point around the Charlotte FC lexicon on where he sits in the pantheon. And again, it's a short pantheon because it's only 5 years or 4.5 years of where he sits in the hierarchy. And right now, it's him and Kalina, as far as I'm concerned. And I know that a lot of Charlotte FC fans will look at Karol Swiderski very fondly. And not that I don't, but I think that from a vibe standpoint, you always kind of left yourself wanting more with Karol.
Yeah.
And I think, too, there was always this air of he was very dependent on a lot of things happening for him, whether it was service, whether it was calls, whether it was the right person to play off of him, whether it was a central attacking midfielder or a winger. Pep Biel doesn't need much. He can handle it with the service. He can get into dangerous areas. And even in games where you don't think that he's occupying dangerous enough space, he gets on the bike and runs with Liel Abada and puts a goal in the back of the net. And it basically just comes into the statement that I'll make, is that I think he's the best outfield player we've ever had. I'm not going to sit here and say it's not close between him and Karol Swiderski, but I think he's one that Charlotte FC identified. And you have to think back to this, and I've been reminded of this a couple of times by some fans. He wasn't the first choice when Charlotte FC was in that window. The first choice was Calvin Stengs, and there was a big celebrated failure of a physical involving Stengs, and as a result of that, there was a lot of hand wringing, and people were angry about it. And I think there's a lot of people who back then were like, oh, Pep Biel kind of comes out as an also-ran. If you look at Zoran Cornetta's board, Pep Biel was high up on it. So it wasn't like they completely, went off the board to try and get Pep Biel at the end. He's somebody that they looked at. They always have contingencies upon contingencies, and they very much like Pep Biel. He had the great season at Copenhagen in 22-23 that I think was kind of what they wanted to have him return to the form of. And I've asked him about that multiple times, and he says he thinks that this run of form for him is better because he's a much more mature player. He, I think, appreciates it a heck of a lot more because it had gone awry for him. And like many people who enter this league, a lot of times it goes awry for them, and they have to put it back into put it back more into place. And now he is reaping the benefits of it because he's got players around him, he's got finishers around him, and most importantly, he's got the confidence to be able to really do anything on the football field he wants to.
We always talk about positional gravity when it comes to those focal points for any club that we're discussing. And when defenses try to lock down on the number one, then that creates opportunities for those around.
Sure.
Who this season has benefited the most from the positional gravity that Pep Biel attracts when Charlotte SC goes on the field?
I'll answer that two ways. It's definitely helped our wingers. Abada has, I think, looked a different player since the World Cup break, and he has been able to get in a lot more space because of him, because of Pep Biel and the way that the people flock towards him. I think it will help Alan St. Maximin a great deal. It certainly helped Adolfo Oloco with the goal that he scored in Toronto. But the real help is that I think the back line has benefited a lot because they now have more goals with their back line than Dean Smith's entire tenure combined. I mean, you had 2 fullbacks score. That's never happened in Charlotte FC's history. You had 2 fullbacks score. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, he used to say this about Nathan Byrne whenever Nathan scored in practice. We would end the practice if Nathan Byrne never scored a goal. It wasn't Byrne in this case. It was Will Cleary and David Schnegg.
Right.
And Schneggy scored a couple of goals. And you want to talk about shrewd signings? Like, they got him off waivers. And I talked to people, connected with DC United, and I asked them, I said, am I missing something here? Is something wrong with Schneggy? And they said, no. I don't know what we're doing. and you could tell he took it personally. And he told me, he said, my time in DC was not much to write home about. I'm hoping for a new fresh start in Charlotte, and he is very much loved his time here, and they've needed him because of the injury to Harry Toffolo. You've got Henry Kessler, who's gotten into the act. Morrison has gotten into the act too as well, and a lot of those come off of services from Pep Biel. So again, I feel like maybe because of the fact that you have to account for his service, that helps him. But the one unreached part of this that I hope it starts to help, John, is the two center forwards. And I'm sure you'll ask about both of them, but I think it's one of those things where when you have two young guys like that, and you want them to push each other, you just hope that you get the results that go along with them. But something that Dean Smith said to me this morning, he said, look, when you're having two developmental center forwards, you have to get goals from other areas, and they're getting it from the back line, they're getting it from the wings, and most importantly, they're getting it from Pep Biel, because even when he has Pellies around him, he doesn't need a whole lot of room.
And I will bookmark the Alan St. Maximin discussion so we can talk about the young center forwards. How are they in your estimation developing? Because I mean, you look at Anita and Toklamati when he first showed up. A lot of folks would sit there and say that he wasn't even a household name in his own household. And now he's developing and he's becoming one of the danger men that you see for Charlotte. So how are the youngins up top? How are they progressing?
I would say that there's still some more movement to be done. And it's not that Edon has had a poor season. He's got 6 goals, 3 assists. But it is one of those things where I think you need to see more moments from him in games. And I think you need to see him be more threatening. I think that the biggest problem with him is that he needs to know the service is coming, and sometimes he'll drop back further, almost kind of like Patrick Adjumon used to do this too. And Dean said, you know what, we need you to stay high. The thing that's different between the two of them is that Edon is willing to do the thankless running. They needed to get Patrick to do that and develop that as he kind of went along. It's just a matter of he likes to veer outside the boxes, and Dean wants to keep him like, hey, I need you to stay within the confines of the 18-yard box, left side and right side, because if you get in the corner, that's part of the areas where both wingers and where Pep Biel sometimes likes to play at as well. And we don't need you overloading that area. We need you in the center, waiting for a cross, waiting for a header, waiting for some dirty goal right around the middle of the park. Thing about Archie Goodwin, his counterpart, is that Archie just doesn't have. Archie has one speed. He calls, he is Australian, and he calls himself a Tasmanian devil. So he is all over the place, and I think a lot of it's good, but a lot of it also needs to be harnessed properly. And I think that's one of those things that they're still trying to figure out with him, is that, okay, we got a player who's willing to, who doesn't feel like he has an empty. I would call him, from an energy standpoint, the Brant Bronico of center forwards.
Oh, wow.
He doesn't seem to have a tank that ever hits empty. It's just a matter of how do you go about, harnessing that? How do you go about making that happen? I still, would like to see Archie maybe more from the start than Edon, because I think at the times that they've done that, Edon has looked more threatening off the bench against tired benches, whereas when Edon comes in from the start, and I think part of the reason they've been using Edon from the start is they really want to try to get him going. It just hasn't really gotten going for him. So it's one of those things where, and the goal that he scored against Toronto was emblematic of a lot of the goals he has scored. It's just right place, right time. He kind of cleaned up the mess from his Israeli counterpart, Liel Abada, when he was basically stymied to the net by Sean Johnson. I need him to be, more of that threat around the net, and more, being able to create his own a little bit too as well, just because I think that'll come. But I think they're both kind of suffering from, hey, the spotlight's on me. I think the number 9 shirt too is wearing a little bit on Edon. He's carrying it with a little bit extra weight. But I don't think either is having a bad season by any means. I think that, fans and I think the coaching staff would want to see more out of him.
Well, and to your point, so if you start Edon Toklamati, then you get the artistry, the imagination, the ideas of working with others, where I just have this vision of Archie. And if Archie, say, comes in for the final 30, you have the Tasmanian devil sitting there going, blah, 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 for 30 minutes. Yeah. And instead of having to deal with that energy for 30, you wonder if you start Archie and you have that kind of energy off the top, then you wonder if it crashes. Like,
That's
that's
my hypothesis.
Yeah.
I think Archie can wear out defenses more during his hour, so that when you have Edon to come on, it has you beleaguered in the back on the opposition side, and you don't know how to deal with it when it comes to Edon. And I think his energy and his presence is more deft than I think Archie's would be. Not that it's ineffective, but I think it's more crafty in nature. Maybe that's a better adjective to describe it. It's more crafty than it is energetic, like Archie is.
Yeah, it just seems like it's two different speeds, but I think you want that with that particular position, so you have that change of pace and you can dictate it towards your opponent.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
you don't want two guys who are the same,
right.
And I think there are some people who get in the habit of some teams who get in the habit with their build where it's like, oh, we have to have two target men because we always have to have a target man, or we need to have two poachers, or we need to have two guys with technical skill. I think it's good to have that change of pace because it also, as Dean Smith has said a lot of times with his midfield, he likes crafting his midfield in order to handle different oppositions. And so you see one guy in a game, he feels like he's good for that game, but maybe not good for another opponent. And so not that they necessarily don't want to be the term dictators, but they feel like they can do that with different bodies.
Alan St. Maximin had the most dribbles against DC United with 4, and this is courtesy of our friends at FOTMob. Played 83 minutes. The XG and the XA, low number under a 0.5. 76% passing, 25 of 33. Had 2 chances created, a big chance created, 1 shot off target. 51 touches, 4 touches in the opposition 18, 4 successful dribbles out of 6, 5 passes into the final third. He's hitting a lot of different boxes here. He got the 1 cross, he's got the 2 long balls, offsides once, and he had 1 pick and 1 recovery, and then he won 7 out of 12 duels on the evening and fouled 3 times. What did you think about Alan St. Maximin being out there on the left?
If this is him getting up to speed, I don't envy MLS defenders when they go up against him. I don't envy the right backs. I don't envy the center backs because that man knows what to do with the ball. He puts it on a string. It's a yo-yo with him. And I think the other part of it, too, is that he's still getting his sea legs in this league. He's still getting his sea legs, particularly when it comes to playing on turf. And I think he's also trying to figure out what kind of leeway he can have in terms of whether it's calls, whether it's his teammates, and trying to figure out, okay, who wants the ball where. And something that I found very interesting is that Dean Smith said, they did a bunch of video work on Alan St. Maximin to say, hey, this is where he likes to deliver the ball. These are the spots where we want you to have to be at when he delivers the ball, because as much as he's going to adapt his game to us, we need to adapt where we are to where he's going to be, because he's going to be so very impactful. And that when he does shake 1 or 2 or 3 men and gets the ball away, you got to know where the ball is going to be. And I think that's something that they're trying to figure out on the fly. It's again a product of the window being where it is, that they were only able to get his visa in here after a couple of weeks after he was signed officially, and there was obviously a little bit of a delay and lag in that. So I think there are a lot of people who kind of wondered, hey, could this process have maybe been sped up or started sooner? But the fact that you got 82 minutes out of him, I know that Dean said he was complaining about some dead leg. It came off, and it looked scarier than it really was. But it's basically he's just dealing with a contusion. There's nothing structurally damaged or anything like that. So he should be good to go this weekend. It's fascinating to see the difference between him and Wilfried Zaha from a mentality standpoint, and I think also just from the way that they carry themselves. I think also, one of the things that Maxey said to us in one of his first press conferences, he said, if I get 3 defenders around me, I know that I got to pass the ball. I'm not going to try to take. I'm not going to try to take all of them on. It's not something. And I don't know if he was trying to throw some stick toward Wilfried Zaha's way, but I think he saw. I think he's savvy enough to know that maybe there was some distaste in the mouth from a lot of Charlotte FC fans from the way Wilf left and departed the club. Yeah. Probably one of the more complicated legacies of a player that we've had here, because I think you saw the quality early on. You saw the magic he could do Maybe it's in a diminished form than what he was in his prime in Crystal Palace, but Maxey certainly, I mean, he's 5 years younger, so he brings a little bit more dynamism, and hopefully the biggest thing when it comes to Maxey is will the counting stats follow the great dribbling and skills? Because we talk a lot about dribbles, we can talk a lot about carries, we can talk a lot about take-ons. People are only going to care about goals and assists, and if those follow, then he's going to become a great player here in this league and with this club.
And the W's that you would hope that if you're a Charlotte FC fan that would be attached to all of those G's and A's that would be working.
Very so.
What kind of a matchup are you expecting this weekend, sir?
Well, Atlanta's obviously feeling like they've found something with a 3-game win streak, and I know that there's all the rumors about Brielle Mbolo coming in and the U22 midfielder as well, who are trying to infuse that squad with a lot more moxie, and I think Charlotte from their perspective kind of feels like, man. In 2 results, they didn't give the best of themselves, particularly in the Open Cup contest where they were heavily rotated and didn't feel like they put forth their best effort and best output of performance. And then on a home game where in their mind they feel like they gave away 2 points. And it's a situation where it's been emblematic of their season. There have been problems with finishing out games and finishing out moments and finishing out situations where you'd hope that they could get more out of those games. And they're going to be coming in highly motivated. They have obviously liked playing in Atlanta, given the way that the results have gone the last 3 years. And I think there's a big sizable contingent of Charlotte FC fans, as always, that will be headed down for it. But they're taking nothing for granted. They know the gravity of how important the match is, and they also know that how condensed this East is. I think when you think about third all the way on down, up until you get till Philadelphia, all those teams are jockeying for position and feel like they have a right to the playoffs, and Atlanta's right among it. And so I don't think this is one that we say it in the other football all the time, throw out the records. They don't mean anything. And it certainly happens that way when these 2 teams square off.
Yep, and it's going to be fun in the East. Obviously, Atlanta United is going to have to try and figure out what they're going to do at the back with Elias Baez getting a yellow, so he'll be out on accumulation. And what the right-hand side of the attack for Charlotte may be going up against the left-hand side in the decision that is made for Atlanta United. If you would please, sir, cut the promo for any and all of everything going on where we can be kept up to date 30 hours a day, 8 days a week, 390 days a year.
Well, we'll be obviously on the air at 7 o'clock for our pregame show on Saturday, 7:30 kick time, 7:40 kick time on Apple, and obviously on our flagship station, Sports Radio 92.7 WFNZ, and our 7/8 station network across both Carolinas and Virginia. Looking forward to being down and seeing all the fans, hopefully from the Black and Blue Nation, getting down there for that game. And obviously on Twitter, you can find me at Willie P. Style. Looking forward to Anna and I both get an opportunity to see what is one of our favorite fixtures of the year, just based on how much enmity seems to be between these 2 clubs.
Wow, he broke out enmity. As always, my friend, it's great to see you, and I am humbled and honored that we were the last to record or do anything out of Willie P version 1.0, and I can't wait to see 2.0. And obviously, in all seriousness, it's a big day for the family, considering that you're having a new casa being built. And that's always something where you get to invest a lot of your emotion and all of your space and everything.
Take a good look, John. Take a good look, John. You won't see it anymore.
Can't wait to see what 2.0 is. We'll see you this weekend, my friend. Great to see you.
Thank you, John.
Willie P. Style, Will Palaszczuk, play-by-play voice for Charlotte, and that's your opposition research, at least the early version of it. We'll keep an eye on things when it comes to the remainder of the week and Charlotte and everybody getting ready with Atlanta United. Big matchup Saturday night, and we will all be there. Book 'em Dano. Aloha. Let's get you into what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Brought to us by our friends at Fanati's, ftz.co/soccer down here. And with that, you can get a bunch of stuff that you might not have had access to otherwise. A lot of the A and B divisions in South America. TVV out of Venezuela. CDO Plus out of Chile. Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru. TEC out of Argentina, which means you get all of their great Argentine coverage of the LPF, the B divisions, Primera Nacional, Copa Argentina, that's theirs. You also get links to Tigo Sports. You get links to CATV. You get all the BNs. And congratulations to Kaylin Kyle, who was named yesterday as lead presenter for their North American coverage from BN. So a new adventure for Kaylin Kyle. We'll see if we can catch up with her and find out what the latest is as she gets to build things in her way as lead presenter at BN Sports. So you get all the BNs. You get Kaylin, get to keep up with her. You get, let's see, you get their 4 European leagues. You get Portugal. You get France. You get Poland. You get Turkey. You get all of the cup competitions. You get AFCON, WAFCON, all the qualifiers for World Cup's various age groups. They're all there. Champions League, it's all in one place. Middle East, North Africa, BN, you get all the BNs. Once again at Fanatis at fntz.co/soccer down here. So today, we'll get into the college here in a sec. BN has Libertadores, Independiente del Valle and Deportes Tolima at 8:30. FS2 has the league we don't talk about. They've got a doubleheader. BN and Español simulcasting. ESPN Deportes La Liga, 3 o'clock, Valencia Real Betis. It is Fox Deportes, and that is simulcasting the league we don't talk about, plus the Copa do Brasil at 8 o'clock. Tuna NA Champions League, Luskin Celtic at 3. Once again, get your George Bello fix. Apple TV's got Leagues Cup, 8:40, 10:40 kicks, 8:30, 10:30 airs. And ESPN Plus has La Liga once again. Fox ONE has the league we don't talk about and the Copa do Brasil. Paramount Plus has 3 Champions League matchups, the ones we were giving you the odds on earlier. And League Cup is going on this afternoon, 2, 2:45, and 3. Central American Cup is going on at 10:30. Once again, those available on Paramount Plus. And the women's game, DAZN USA CAF Champions League. It is games wrapping up, Mamelodi Sundown Ladies and Costa del Sol. So that is the rundown of the women's game and everything on your Wednesday. In the professional ranks, let me see if we have anything in the college game on your Tuesday. Hang on just a second. 2 games in the men. One of them, Georgia State and UAB, 8 o'clock. And that one is on 4-letter, and we will have your highlights of that one. Tomorrow, then a handful of games, 5 men's games and a women's game on Wednesday, and then all hell breaks loose on Thursday where everyone is playing, including you. So that's your breakdown of what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it by our friends at Fanatis at fntz.co/soccer down here. And by the way, Troy got an on-uniform sponsorship from the Troy Bank, and it's the first ever for a Go 6 program. Covers all of the sports that they put on the screen when it came to the jersey editions and the patch, but it's going to be a patch that's going to be for the Fun Belt Club from the Troy State Bank. So very, very cool stuff there from our friends at Troy. Now, gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and we'll keep an eye on a bunch of different things. It looks like Matias Galarza might be looking at Olympia now, keeping an eye on that. LAFC has teased an announcement of some kind on their Twitters. They had a box opened up with an international identifier, and a lot of folks are thinking that it might be a center back. And LAFC fans that are the vocal minority in that case are none too happy that it is a center back and should be an offensive player. And so keep an eye on that. Once again, remember, Seattle has set a press conference for this afternoon local time. We'll see what that is. If it is anything other than the weekly breaking of bread and showing you, okay, here's our postmortem. We'll see if it's anything more than that. And like I said, we'll talk about that tomorrow too. Also on the board this morning, it is, let's see. So if we go into the soccer discussions, let's see here. Transfer talk. Here we go. Broken down, as always, your trending rumors. Atleti has joined the race for Chelsea striker Nico Jackson, according to Team Talk. Reportedly had a loan offer rejected, intends to continue their push for the signature amid competition from Villa. Sources told the 4-letter network yesterday Arsenal ready to make an approach for Julian Alvarez, who is prioritizing a switch to Barcelona. Looks as though Jackson could be seen by Atleti as a possible replacement. Jackson's also been linked with Aston Villa, who would want to replace Ollie Watkins with him. Junior Krupi, Bournemouth on the radar of Liverpool, Manchester United, and Arsenal, according to the iPaper. They've all made inquiries on the 20-year-old, despite him being unavailable due to a foot injury. Cherries unchanged in their stance this summer, look to ward off interest in key stars. No plans to consider parting ways with players that are crucial to the plans of Marco Rosa. United remain interested in Arsenal midfielder Miles Lewis-Skelly, according to the three-letter paper. Red Devils reported to be hopeful of persuading the Gunners to offload him. The belief he could see less game time when Mikel Merino finds his sharpness returning from his World Cup duty. Any deal expected to require an offer in excess of £50 million, and Chelsea have also been linked with his interest and signature. Speaking of Chelsea, Fabrizio Romano, Chelsea monitoring the situation of Atalanta defender Honest Ahanor. Identified the 18-year-old as a potential star for the future, but it could be difficult to secure with Ladea already rejecting multiple offers this summer. 22 Serie A starts last year, capped twice by Italy on the senior level. Football Insider, Villa lining up an approach for AC Milan winger Rafa Leao, according to Football Insider. Believed to be pushing to leave the San Siro this summer. Unai Emery keen to reinforce his side with multiple signings after the defeat to Brighton on Sunday, contracted through the summer of 28, previously linked with clubs in Turkey. Cody Gakpo is being eyed by Manchester City. United monitoring Alejandro Balda's situation at Barca ahead of a potential move at the deadline. They're also in the market for a new left back. Kicked the tires on Lewis Hall earlier this summer. Club sources playing down the chance of securing Balda. Barcelona have been made aware of their interest. Manchester City have agreed to a deal with Palmeiras for winger Alan Elias. According to the network, 22-year-old moved to Etihad for an initial €37.5 million, another $2.5 in potential add-ons. Arsenal ready to make their move on Julian Alvarez. Christopher Nkunku on the verge of a return to RB Leipzig on loan from AC Milan. Joined Milan in 25 from Chelsea on a deal in the region of €40 million. One of several players deemed surplus to requirements under Ruben Amorim. Savio joined Tottenham for Manchester City in a deal worth up to £85 million. During his time there, Savinho, the diminutive for his real name, Savio Moreira de Oliveira. Now that name is printed on the back of the shirts. Chelsea defender Omari Kellyman has joined sister club Strasbourg, clause in the contract that allows for an easy return to Stamford Bridge. Nicolo Schira, Gabriel Martinelli has agreed to a 4-year contract with Al Hilal worth €20 million a year. L'Equipe, Liverpool fully committed to signing PSG winger Bradley Barcola. Nicolo Schira, Crystal Palace, and Villa have shown interest in Juve striker Jonathan David. Gianluca Di Marzio, Napoli interested in Chelsea forward Mark Guiu. Team talk, Villa have agreed to terms with Club Brugge defender Joel Ordóñez. L'Equipe, Newcastle are in the race for Lille winger Matias Fernandez Pardo. Gazzetta, Juve hopeful of reaching an agreement with free agent midfielder Frank Kacey. Fabrizio Romano via Real set to sign Anderlecht and Canada international midfielder Nathan Saliba. Corriere dello Sport, Napoli considering a final approach for Gabriel Jesus at Arsenal. L'Equipe, Crystal Palace keen on Marseille midfielder Quentin Timber. Sky Germany, Hull City in talks to sign Union Berlin striker Ilias Ansa. Now, speaking of the Twitters, let's go and check our three main sources, let you know what is on their minds this morning and what has come across their desks. So let's see what, starting with our buddy Ben Jacobs. Once again, week left in the window. And see where folks are when it comes to their interest. Bristol City confirmed forward Elijah Adebayo joined on a 2-year deal, free agent after leaving Luton. Season-long loan agreed. Sheffield Wednesday were in advanced talks to sign Ipswich striker Ali Al-Hamadi, so now it's a loan that's been agreed. Al Hilal once again closing in on the deal for Martinelli. Villa's bid for Jean-Philippe Mateta was in the region of £20 to £25 million, rejected out of hand by Crystal Palace. They ain't interested. Manchester City still set to bid for Enzo Fernandez. Chelsea's going to only entertain an offer if both the valuation is met and an addition is found. Talks expected to accelerate. St. Mirren have signed Liverpool defender Calvin Ramsey on a season-long loan. Bournemouth have confirmed keeper Michele Di Gregorio's joined on a season-long loan from Juve. 12.5 plus £2.5, £1 million and an option to buy. No loan fee. Bournemouth have to pay £1 million if the move does not become permanent. Lazio have made a fresh bid for Leicester City forward Lorenz Hutchinson. Talks ongoing, out of contract next summer. How do we know Savinho is official? He's holding up the jersey and smiling in front of all the sponsors on the billboard. And the Brel Embolo signing until 2029 in the summer. DP spot, once again, €15 million fee. And chose MLS over multiple European options. And Atlanta United, they did both. They have the folded jersey in the conference room on the same table that Brel Embolo is smiling at the camera and has the elevated pen over a contract that he looks like he hasn't signed yet. So elevated pen, smiling to the camera, jersey available. He's going to wear 36 and officially official. Maury Kellyman, we mentioned Strasburg. That deal is until 2031. Delaney Bakwa set to join Lille on loan from Nottingham Forest. Hull City also made an approach. He chose Lille, been given permission to formalize the move. We mentioned Bradley Barcola, and Trabzonspor confirmed Fabinho's joined on a 2-year deal. Now, that's all the internationals. Let's see if there's anything going on domestically. Still waiting on the update on Dejan Joveljic, but once again, is the Seattle press conference the Joveljic deal? We'll find out. Bolton finalizing a deal to sign Canada winger Jaden Nelson from Austin. Fees $1.1 million in add-ons. Nelson told Austin he wanted to go to Europe. Bolton met the team's asking price. Austin let him go. Then, let's see. Christopher Cupps was put out on loan. We've had the chance to see him this season in MLS Next Pro with Chicago Fire FC2 and with the U20s down in Mexico in the qualifiers. So he's been loaned to Greenock Morton on loan through the end of 2026, retaining the right to recall at any point. 6 matches, 3 starts for Chicago over the last 2 seasons. Minnesota United added German forward Maurice Malone, acquired from Sturm Graz on a deal running through the 29-30 season with an option for 1 more. Youth International, 47 goals, 32 assists, 192 first-team matches. Sturm Graz, Austria Vienna, FC Basel, and Wolfsberger AC. RSL officially have extended Sergi Solans through 29-30, 11 plus 4, 22 appearances across all comps. And Antoine Griezmann was named MLS Player of the Week with his brace in the 2-1 win over RSL. So those are the moments that we are keeping an eye on when it comes to all of the signings and such. We do have a couple of releases that came out this morning, and from the teams themselves, it has been made officially official that the front office swap that had been discussed is now on the books, on the board, and out the door. And it is between Austin and Minnesota United. Austin names Khaled Al-Ahmad Chief Soccer Officer and Sporting Director, coming from Minnesota United. Most recently, CSO Sporting Director, Minnesota United. And in his new role, he will oversee all functions of Austin FC's soccer operations, including roster construction and management, scouting and recruitment, player development, and the complete player pathway from the academy through Los Verdos to the first team. He is going to report directly to Austin FC's CEO, Andy Lofton. He's going to lead the sporting leadership group, working closely with Andrew DeLallo, Dean Costellas, and Ethan Finley. Jim Curtin, previously announced as the next head coach, will report directly to El Ahmad, where he joins the club following the conclusion of this season. El Ahmad will work closely with Curtin to establish a shared sporting vision, create an environment where coaching, recruitment, and player development are fully aligned. Quote from Anthony Precourt, and quote from El Ahmad. And who am I missing? I think we got all the quotes from that particular release. And in turn, Minnesota United has announced that they parted ways with Khaled Ahmad. Hank Stebbins, head of recruitment, roster strategy, and negotiations, going to serve as the interim sporting director since 23. Stebbins had played an integral role in defining the club's sporting strategy, roster construction, overseeing scouting, player recruitment. Currently leads first-team roster strategy, overseeing the club's data analytics and scouting strategies across the first and second teams. Lead negotiator and liaison with player agents and intermediaries on transfers and contracts. He will work alongside Cameron Knowles, technical staff, and club leadership as the club continues their focus on this season. The club thanks Khaled for his contributions to Minnesota United, wishes him the best in his next chapter with Austin FC. So that is officially official there. And the Sounders press conference, by the way, is at 4 o'clock Eastern time. As it is at Providence in Swedish, 5-minute oil change and guitar center. So it'll be there at 4 o'clock. And the way that it is listed, literally, it is just a media advisory hosting a press conference Tuesday at 1 o'clock Pacific time. Invited to attend inside the team auditorium, Providence in Swedish, accredited members should RSVP, and there are food and beverage options. So it is a Sounders FC press conference. Who? Club leadership. There you go. So we'll find out what the press conference is all about tomorrow. And when our buddy Nico Moreno joins us from Apulso Sports and Sounder at Heart, and we will find out what this was all about with Seattle this afternoon. So 4 o'clock this afternoon, and we'll keep an eye on that and lay that all out for you again tomorrow. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I missed in my rundown. I don't think I missed anything that has happened while the show has been going on. I think we're in pretty decent shape there. A couple of things before we get out. Embolo wears 36. Yes. See now, David, that's a cool idea. For those that do not know, and it came in, and you can research it in an article. It was a profile that was done in The Guardian, and it's a couple of years old. That Breel Embolo wears 36 because that was the bus route that he took to training as a kid. And so that number means a lot to him. David wants it on a MARTA kit. I think that what we should do is let MARTA know. You know, if we could get a MARTA kit with Embolo 36 on it, I think that'd be pretty sweet. But I like that idea. So, yeah, he wears 36 because when he was a very young man, that was the bus route that he took to training. So that's why. So that's why it's 36. So very, very cool stuff there. But I like the idea of the MARTA 36 kit. I really like that idea. So we'll look at that. Okay. Also on the board, just before we get out of here, there are a couple of things. Decatur finally came out with their official numbers from WatchFest, and note from CVS. CVS Pharmacy launching Home Team Heroes with Alex Morgan. Nationwide contest recognizing young soccer players ages 7 to 15, not only for what they do on the field, but also for the leadership, service, and support they show their teammates and communities. Beginning today, families, coaches, community members can nominate a deserving young player at cvshometeamheroes.com. Nominations are open through September 25. 2 Home Team Heroes will each receive a $25,000 grant for a nonprofit organization, a community block party celebrating their impact, and the opportunity to be featured on limited edition CVS Well Market packaging. 2 runners-up get a $10,000 nonprofit grant. Alex Morgan is helping CVS launch the program, highlight how soccer can build confidence, belonging, and leadership among young athletes. And so CVSHometeamHeroes.com. CVSHometeamHeroes.com, Alex Morgan. And you can apply for the grants through the 25th of September. And the official numbers are out from Decatur Watch Fest. 170,000 visitors. 5,500 people daily on average, 11,000 on peak days, 72 World Cup matches, 34 days of music. So 2 years of planning, 34 event days, 270 hours of programming, 34 free concerts, 50-plus hours of music, 40 watch spots, 225 volunteers, 502 shifts, 1,500 hours, 18 sponsors, 120 activations, 34 days, 40 members on the steering committee. Peak attendance, 10,800 of the 170,000 visitors to the Decatur Square. 70% of the visitors, 75% of the visitors came from outside of Decatur proper. That's very cool. Social media audience of 52.1 million. Owned social media audience of 2.9. 8,000 Instagram followers, 235,000 web visits. Earned media audience of just over 960 million. And then 300-plus interviews, including the ones here. 1,000 media mentions along the way. So very, very cool stuff. So it's 170,000 folks that got to visit Decatur Watch Fest. And that was awesome in and of itself. So really cool to see that grow and be what it turned into over time. And, can't wait, obviously, for the next thing. What are you going to do for the Women's World Cup? What are you going to do for the Women's World Cup, huh? Catch your breath for a day or two. And the Soccer for Good OG, good morning. Eternally optimistic. Everything about the Embolo signing just seems right. We hope it is. We hope it's the third Goldilocks bed. I hope that you're accurate in that regard. So let's see. So morning OG, morning David, morning Amin, and obviously Amin is a Cristiano Ronaldo fan. Then we'll see. Morning Abby. And let's see who else was in here this morning just to kind of look at things. Morning Lokeville. I think I kind of figured it out. And it's because I have some wires that are crossed going to different outputs. And so I'm going to unplug everything and put everything in lines instead of having them crossed over each other. I think I figured that out, but I also do want to get a grounding plate. So let's see. So morning, Lokeville, and morning to all of you guys. All right. So let's see. Amanda Vandervoort. Yes, we talked about that. All those things. Keep an eye on Inter Miami CF, and we'll get you ready for your Tuesday. Whew. Back at it again, 9:05 tomorrow morning, and we'll break it all down for you. Start with Dylan Butler. We're efforting guests from the college ranks and the Red Clay and all the things, and we'll have highlights of Leagues Cup. And we'll have that as a part of tomorrow morning. Dylan Butler joining us at 10. We'll see who else wants to come in and crash the party as we get you ready for the Power Hour on Tuesday with Nino and Nico. And then we'll get you ready on Match Day with our friends from Apple TV. Lori Lindsay set to join us at 10 o'clock on Friday morning, in addition to whomever else wants to come and crash the party. So we'll find out who that is coming up in short order. So that's another go-round of SDH AM. Thanks for coming by, as you always do. And once again, thanks to Kacey and thanks to Will for bringing the heat like they always do. Back at it again in less than 22 hours. Hopefully the buzz won't be as annoying because it's in my ear every day. God knows what it's like for y'all. New picks of the week will be coming out later this week. And, by the way, I guess we should talk about this. I guess we should. But we'll talk about that in the morning. And from the Kaiser Permanente Studios, it's another go-round of SDH AM. So from everybody here to all you there, thanks for coming by, as you always do. Mucha platiel. Play it safe. And since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do this. Back at it again tomorrow morning, 9:05 Eastern.